Ursula von der Leyen is directly complicit with the genocidal massacre that Israel has committed in Gaza over the last 7 months. She green-lighted the massacre, and she should be unceremoniously sacked. And people should state publicly that she should not remain as the President of the EU Commission. They should say it publicly. Ursula von der Leyen, sack her. Say publicly she should be sacked for her complicity with genocide. Now, some of us warned you about this. When she came to this House in December 2022, most of this House stood and gave her a standing ovation. I was one of the few who didn't and challenged her directly over, at that time, her cosy relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, because she'd visited Israel only a few months before, stood beside him and said not a word about his government's intention to effectively continue the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. Right? The writing was on the wall for her role in encouraging and green-lighting Israel's crimes against the Palestinians. Had we called her then, we mightn't be looking at the horror we're facing now.
Yeah, well, Deputy, you're correct. This Parliament, I think the Count Corla on behalf of the Parliament invited President von der Leyen at the time, I think in acknowledgement of the role of the President of the Commission in respect of Brexit and defending resolutely Ireland's situation vis-à-vis the United Kingdom's decision to leave the European Union. And yes, many parties gave a very warm response, including Sinn Féin and others, to President von der Leyen at the time. And we don't underestimate the role of the European Commission and the European Union more generally, and all the member states, in supporting Ireland's position in terms of no hard border, and in terms of the peace process, and in terms of support, continued support through the EU peace facility. Because the European Union has been a very progressive force for peace in Ireland. Don't forget that. That's more generally. And what I find interesting is that in a classic populist approach, the entire European elections now seems to boil down to one person. And of course, it's not about that at all. It's about how we believe the European Union should evolve into the future, in terms of both the member states working together in terms of social policy, economic policy, trade policy, and the public health policy. Those are the issues. And also whether we're pro-European Union or not. I mean, Deputy Boyd Barrett, through the Chair, you're against the European Union. You always have been. So you use every opportunity to have a cut. Ah, you do. You're against the European Union. So put that to the Irish
against
people.
Its current direction.
No, you're against
its current direction.
And you've always voted against it. Always. And you've never had a good thing to say about it. And so there's a bit of hypocrisy going on here too.
It's got some good environmental directives.
Sinn Féin historically has been against the European Union. It's in its DNA to be against the European Union. And I'd like to see, I would genuinely like to see, I would like to see through the Chair again, how many, who's going forward after the elections and so forth. And again, this trying to, anyway, I mean, I'm well used to it at this stage in terms of the flip-flopping and perspectives that, I mean, at one level, you'll attack the financial, it's very serious, Deputy, and that's why you need to get serious. Because sometimes I don't know whether it's the Davy Stock. 1 second, please. You allowed all of them to make their time. They're interrupting the Chair. I just want to finish my comments by the following. Everyone's been over time. But I just want to make the point, if I could, that sometimes we get a Davy Stockbroker view of Sinn Féin policy. Sometimes we get a kind of a view from yourselves in here, depending who you're talking to. Whether you're talking to the financiers, whether you're talking to developers, you change your tack all of the time. And the same applies to Europe. You will know your spokespeople will sidle off to Europe. You'll have your meetings with the Commission, you'll have your meetings with civil servants, and you'll tell them all we have a different view to the one that we articulated publicly in the House. That's what happens with Sinn Féin at the moment. You're talking to different people all of the time with different policies, with different perspectives.